In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I generated 5.6 million in pipeline for one of our clients in 90 days. Because whether you like it or not, cold email is one of the best ways to book meetings for B2B companies. It's consistent, scalable, and it doesn't take 6 months to start getting consistent results like with paid ads. But that's obviously only if you know what you're doing, and that's why I'm going to walk you through this case study. I'm going to walk you through everything we did to generate 5.6 million in pipeline for one of our clients who I won't name just to keep them anonymous, and I'll show you how to replicate everything for your own B2B company to get similar results too. So let's get into it and break down exactly how we got those results. Okay, let's dive into it. So objections about cold email. Now, these are things that I hear every single day on sales calls, on marketing, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and I'm going to cover them off here. So number one is it didn't work for me. Now there's a couple of things that are quite hard to diagnose without really diving into it. But what that usually means is your market wasn't big enough, your offer wasn't good enough, or your execution of that was not good enough. So whether or not that's bad infrastructure, not sending enough emails. I mean, there's a number of different things here, right? But let me just kind of break this down. There's 3 pillars to cold email: messaging, targeting, infrastructure. If those things don't work, then you're never going to get anywhere. You can send all the cold emails in the world, and if your infrastructure is not working, they're all going to go to the spam and no one's ever going to read them. See, it's like shouting down an empty hallway, right? So that's number one. I've been burned by agencies before. It's probably one of the most common things I hear on a call. People will say to me, look, we worked with this company before. They said to us that we'll book 30 calls in 90 days, or that we'll close 5 deals in 90 days. And if not, we'll work with you for free. Good offer for that company, easy to sign clients. Guess what? Those companies are doing that offer because they need clients and they can't deliver on it. And when it comes down to it and you then say, okay, well, you need to continue working with me until you do it, you're in a sticky situation because yes, you signed a contract. Yes, that was part of it, but these people are not going to fulfill on that, right? So stay away from the kind of new guys on the block. Now, most agencies spray and pray with no segmentation or strategy. And if I'm being honest with you, the client results, that's the biggest thing. If you have no client results, then I guess you have to take a chance on people at sometimes, but you need to kind of, if you want to hedge your bets, work with someone who's done it before. When an offer's too good to be true, sometimes it is, especially in an industry like this one. Now, cold email is dead. We've booked over 150 calls every month for the last year. Okay, with cold email, at least 150. Even now, we booked over 150 calls last month in February. We're on track to do the same today, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Yes, things are going to change. Yes, people are going to leave the market. Yes, that is going to get harder, but that's even better for us because you get people who are good at what they do and you get the people who are not so good who are then struggle. So why most people fail? So the TAM is too small, the offer's too weak, and you can't send the volume safely because you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the market to go after in order for you to serve them correctly, right? And do you want me to give you the biggest reason why most people fail? The offer. That is the biggest lever in cold email. Now, let me just give you an example. You could have the worst setup in the world, right? But you could have the best offer in the world. So if I said send cold emails and it was literally, I'm going to buy your small agency where there's 2 people in it for $5 million tomorrow cash if you reply to this email. Now, that's too good to be true, but let's say that we could build some credibility and they'd say they're actually going to do that. That is going to get extreme number of replies no matter what it says. It could be written with spelling mistakes. It could have no social proof. It could have the worst CTA. But if I'm giving away lottery tickets with the already winner for the lottery, then that's going to get it because it's a good offer, right? If you're saying to someone, come and use my platform and yeah, we're pretty good. Like we have competitors, we're more expensive than them. We give the same service. There's no real reason for you to switch, but we think you should anyway. That's not a good offer. And you need to be able to craft it in a way that's very conversion focused on a cold email that's going to build credibility with a cold audience. Now, let me just give you a framework while we're talking about this. That is a cold friendly offer versus a warm offer. Now, most people who have never had results with cold email are running a warm offer. What does that mean? That someone already trusts you, and therefore if you say I can save you money, then they trust you and they're going to believe you. If you're speaking to a cold audience, you say you're going to save them money, then they do not trust you because they have no idea who you are. They've never heard of you before. Your job is to build that trust. One of the only ways to do that is talk about revenue and getting them new revenue, because that is something that's very desirable for people that can help their business grow versus a cost saving that like, yeah, but I kind of have to trust you in order to do it. So look, these are all fixable problems. It's not evidence that cold email doesn't work. There are a number of different things you can do. So when cold email is not for you. Now, if your TAM is under 5,000 companies, pick up the phone. You don't need email infrastructure. You need to run an ABM style system. I am not going to dive into what ABM is right now. What it is multi-threading across a select number of accounts. Rather than doing cold outbound at scale where you cover the whole market, you'll cover the whole 5,000 people in a week. I mean, I could do it in a day with our current sending volume, probably in about an hour, to be honest with you. And it's just not a good fit in terms of that because we need 3% of the market. Now, 3% of 5,000 is 150 people, if I'm not mistaken. Now, making sure that we get all of those in a call is near impossible, right? So, no defined offer. Fix the offer before spending on outbound. Leads are not going to save you a bad offer. So, if you have 5 or 6 different offers, or your ICP is not already dialed, or you're kind of running a number of different things, like one of the key things here is we worked with a custom software development agency. Now, they're actually called CGS Team. We have another video on the channel. You can watch the case study. We're getting them 4 to 5 qualified calls a week. With that agency, they came to us and they were running AI automations. They were running MVPs. They had no industry they was working in. They didn't know where to focus. Now, what we did initially was map out, okay, where do these different offers resonate the most? What actually ended up working best was AI automations in cybersecurity, MVPs in startups, of course, and therefore we scaled that after we identified their ICP and where the offer works best. Now, we had to do that methodology in order to get the data to tell us that because we tested real estate, we tested cybersecurity, we tested every single industry that you could think of in order to get that data. Now, there's no way of you doing that without cold email. So if you can't handle replies or calls, don't generate demand that you can't close because you're going to waste these leads. I have had clients where we've booked them too many calls and then they just don't show up to the calls and therefore they've churned. That is not a good position to be in. If you can't handle the calls, just don't take them in the first place. And if your LTV is too low or your annual contract value is what we usually use, then you can't justify the acquisition cost. The math has to work. Now, our average cost per call is around $500. We normally work with people with a 10K ACV or more. Let's say that you're closing 20%. That makes your CAC $2,500. You're getting a 4x ROI for every deal close. Perfect. And then B2C. Cold email is a strictly B2B channel. It can work for B2C. I'm not one of those people. I strictly focus on B2B. That's simply because we're talking to businesses, we're talking to owners, we're talking to people at work. I don't want to dive into B2C sales. It's a waste of time. So the client situation before, no predictable outbound channel. Growth was entirely referral dependent. This is something that I face every single time I speak to people. They're reliant on referrals, inconsistent sales. They don't know what to do. They come to us and they want to set up their cold outbound engine. Makes sense, right? Inputs in, outputs out. It's predictable. It's great to use. Completely different kettle of fish. Now, they tried cold email internally. They're landing in spam, low email reply rates, and no system. They usually say, we do cold email, LinkedIn, and cold calling. So I say, well, I'm not too sure on cold email because we've tried it so many times it didn't work. That's a skill issue rather than a cold email issue. We consistently book calls for our clients. You can see all of the cases we have on the channel. Again, don't trust that. It's more an execution thing. I'm not an ads person. I've spent money on ads before. I'd rather pay an agency who's good at it because guess what? They're the ones that know what they're doing. They do this on a daily basis. They live and breathe it in terms of what Meta's doing, what best to use, everything else, the same as we do with cold email. Now, they needed to reach their full market consistently and not just cherry pick accounts. So this is the biggest thing where you want a large number of calls booked. You want to go after the whole market. You want to capture the ones that are interested. This is the best way to do it. And they wanted brand safe messaging, no mass blasting, no spray and pray. Want to protect the brand, don't want to ruin the brand reputation. And the thing I always say to this as an objection is name a cold email that you got this week. Spend some time and do that now. Now, the biggest thing is here, you probably can't do that unless that person's emailed you 7-8 times, which is the opposite of what we do. So it's all about testing interest. We're not here to annoy people. Okay. So what they actually needed. Now, the full-time coverage is every decision maker in their market, not just a short list of these Dream 100 accounts, which they should be doing a higher touch sequence with in reality, right? So 2 email sequences only, maximum market reach per send, infrastructure built properly from scratch, dedicated domains, warm-up deliverability, human reply management, so every reply called within 23 minutes and every reply handled by email in less than 5 minutes, and then qualified meetings only, so no unqualified calls meet the calendar because we don't want to waste your time, we don't want to waste your sales team time. So full tracking in our reporting, so sends, replies, meetings booked in estimated pipeline, but also a weekly call where we have a strategy call to go over all of the detail. Now, the system that we built, so I'm going to run you through the 6 steps here. We started by defining the ICP. We segmented it by vertical, authority type, company size, and how the different offers resonated there, the different pain points that those people were facing. Then we went and mapped the full TAM in clay. So every single decision maker enriched an ICP score to make sure that they were a good fit. We then built the infrastructure. So dedicated sending domains, dedicated infrastructure. We did a 3-week warm up in our 27-point pre-launch checklist. And then we wrote the copy. So 2 emails per person, 2 completely different angles, under 80 words each. Then step 5 is the reply management. So once the campaigns go live, we have a human operator who will actually ring our leads. So it's what I would refer to as a warm caller, but also someone who's an inbox manager who's replying to the emails as well, who qualify before booking. Then step 6 is the 45-day cycles. Came back each round with fresh angles based on what worked. And we walk through the entire step in detail here and show the actual work. Okay, so that's exactly what we do. Any questions on that, feel free to comment them down below. Now the results, 56 meetings in 90 days. 5.6 million estimated qualified pipeline for these people, so it was 100k ACV, and it was about 18 to 20 qualified meetings per month on an ongoing basis after initial ramp, which they're still a client to this day. So 84% show up rate maintained, and that includes us rebooking any calls that don't show up, as well as consistent pipeline and not a one-off campaign. So why did it work? Is the question that I also get. So full-time coverage from day one, not just a sample, right? So we went after every single person just to test interest and find the messages that work the best and then iterate based on that and do more of the same. So 2 email sequences, we reach 5 times more people than anyone who sends a 10 email sequence. And our reply speed on the speed to lead is the biggest thing, as well as calling your leads. If you're not calling your leads, you are not going to get any results with cold email. I'm going to say that now. You will, but it'll be 3x if you start calling people. Now, qualification, every call is booked because they were qualified beforehand, not just people booking empty calls. This is the problem you will have when you run a pay-per-lead model with an agency. They'll book calls that are unqualified because they get paid for those calls, right? And then compounding cycles. So every time we get data on a weekly basis, we then get sharper by using the winners that are already working. So it's not one thing. It is boring fundamentals done properly at the same time. It's nothing exciting. It's very simple, if I'm being honest with you, but that's what makes it work. Now, let me make it clear. Cold email is not magic, and it's not for every business. It doesn't work for everyone. But for companies in large markets with great offers, strong lifetime value, it is one of the most dependable, scalable, and consistent customer acquisition channels available, and especially most cost effective. When you combine high volume, strong strategy, clear infrastructure, and relevant offers, cold email becomes a system that can print money and see a serious ROI. That's why we focus at my outbound agency every single day, building better campaigns, writing better copy, creating better lists, and booking as many meetings as possible for our clients that are qualified. So, if you're a B2B company and you think it might be interested in doing cold email and booking meetings through it, then click the first link in the description. I'd love to talk to you and walk through exactly how we would build your cold email system for your B2B company and handle it fully done for you, so you don't have to waste your time trying to learn all about infrastructure, reply rates, and everything else. You don't spend any time working on it, we do it for you. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so I can post more valuable videos, and I'll see you in the next one.